If you want kindergarten to be a wonderful time where your child can explore the world around them and you can be building your relationship with your child, then keep watching. However, if you want academics, worksheets, and rigor, this video is probably not for you. Don't forget to like this video and please consider subscribing to get more videos about nature study, homeschooling, and family life. So you really only need 2 things to have an amazing kindergarten year for your children. Are you ready? All right, the first thing that you need is to read to your child. If you do nothing else, reading aloud to your child is the best thing that you can do. And at the end of the video, I'm gonna walk you through some of my very favorite books I enjoy reading to our 5-year-old, and it'll kind of inspire you as well. So there are 2 categories of books that I recommend, and it's not really just me recommending it, but like people throughout time have been recommending them. And that is fairy tales and nursery rhymes. Now, please, if you don't like fairy tales or you don't like particular nursery rhymes, you need to find books that you love and that you are delighted to share with your child. There's lots and lots of different stories out there and lots of different retellings. And I'm going to share with you some of the ones that I really love, but make sure that you enjoy them. And now I think that we've forgotten in our culture the importance of nursery rhymes. Now, what nursery rhymes do when we are teaching them to our children is they are helping them create an enormous vocabulary and also a point of reference for when they are starting to read. So the itsy bitsy spider. So the itsy bitsy spider climbed up the water spout, down came the rain and washed the spider out. Now, we love playing this game with my daughter, but if we're breaking it apart, we're learning about size. The spider is small. We're learning about movement. It's climbing up the spout. And then what does it do? It comes down. The water comes down and washes it away. And then we're also talking about different elements of nature, how the sun can dry the rain. I mean, guys, they're not specifically thinking, oh, look at all the stuff I'm learning. They are just delighting in the song and they're enjoying having a relationship with you because they're doing the motions and you're doing the motions and you're doing them together, and that is building your relationship with them. So not only are you enjoying a lovely time with your child, but also you're helping them develop their vocabulary. You're not drilling them on lists or here, remember this, remember that when the sun comes out, it dries things. Like, who cares? No, it's fun. It's delightful. It's wonderful. It should be a joy. Okay. The second thing that you need to be doing with your child, or that really your child needs to be doing, is get outside to play. This has been so forgotten in our very busy, technologically centered society. So I will link to another video that I've done about how to get your children outside to play more. But what you can simply do is set up a space for your child to play and then go outside with them and show them how to use the various things that you've set up. If you've done a play kitchen, then play with them in the kitchen to show them how to do that. Or if you've set up a swing, push them on the swing and get them to begin to learn how to do that. And find activities that you can do with them together outside. And then what you'll find is that they will take off on their own and play without you, or they'll play with, if the child has siblings, then they will play with their siblings outside as well. Another thing that you can do when you're trying to get your child outside is to learn things by name. Learn how to call things by name. And this is something that, again, we've really lost in our culture, but as I've shown in my other video about how I use technology to do nature study, I show you some various ways about how you can learn the different names of things. So there shouldn't really be any excuse when we're just trying. So learn to call things by their name and learn about the place that you live. And this will go so far and give you rewards and manifest over time that as you learn those things, then your children will learn them, and then they will probably remind you about what you learned, and it will compound over time. So, but first you have to make the introductions, right? Okay, so you want to know, what do I do for reading, writing, and math for kindergarten? So you don't really have to do anything, but let's break it down and explain how you can create some environments that will foster the child to learn on their own. So one is place a 100s chart on your refrigerator. My children love having the hundreds chart on the refrigerator, and they'll go and they'll study the numbers. In fact, one of my children was like, when can I start doing math lessons? And he was still 5 years old. And I was like, well, when you can count to 100, you can start your first grade math. And he goes, well, I can count to 100 right now. And I was like, okay. So he did. He counted to 100. How did he learn that? Well, a couple of different ways I think he did learn it. So one way was with sports. So they follow football, my children and my husband. And so with the numbers, they have to learn the different players' numbers. So they're learning all the way from the ones all the way up to 100 in that, because they only go up to 99. So that was really cool. And then they also learn them through NASCAR. And like I said, they have the hundreds chart on the refrigerator. So that is one really simple way. Another simple way is just keeping a preschool calendar, and I will show you that now. So here's the wall calendar that we use. It is a Mary Englebright calendar, and then I got these Scholastic sleeves that I will link in the description below, and we use this and change it out every month. And then I added the little heart that moves along so that we can follow along with the day. So I love the KY craft books, which are the Cinderella book here, 12 Dancing Princesses, and Sleeping Beauty. She has some others in this series, but look at how beautiful her illustrations are. It's just, the detail is just beautiful. So we really enjoy these because they're pretty true retellings of the stories, as close as they can get. They're beautiful. And then there's also this is Andrew Lang, the Red Fairy book. The red and the blue fairy books are really good for if you want to stretch your language and their language. It's written in a little bit higher level, so it is a little bit harder reading, but my kids really do enjoy them. So here's one nursery rhyme. Any nursery rhyme books are delightful. See, somebody enjoyed that book. And you can just see here, we really enjoy a good nursery rhyme. Just time of just sitting down, reading through page after page after page of nursery rhymes. And then this is actually one of my favorite books for our children. We actually found it at the library, and it comes with a CD. So if you aren't familiar with the songs, then it tells you how to sing it, and then the tune is on the CD. And we really enjoyed this book because it gives you instructions on how to play these different, there's finger play, there's lap. We learned this one, Trot Trot to Boston, and then it explains how to play with your child on your lap, facing you and bouncing. And we really got a lot out of this book. So I really recommend this one. And of course, we've got Aesop. This is a beautiful one by Charles Santori. You can see the pictures here are they're just beautiful. So we enjoy that one. And anyone by this illustrator or even Tasha Tudor, we really enjoy. I can't even say her name, so I'll just link to it in the description. But again, we will sit down and read through page upon page of some of these books. And then like the swing, we now have it memorized just because we've read it so often. So there you go. A great way to start your kindergarten. Okay, so you want to know about reading. When should you start teaching your child how to read? Now, I would say that for the most part, all of the research says that we should be waiting later than what our society is doing now to teach children reading. And here's why, and I'm going to tell you a story. So one school district did an experiment on their students, and they did early reading instruction on kindergartners in one set. And then the other section, they did science. Basically, they did nature study. They did experiments, they froze water, they did water vapor things, they went outside, and they explored. So they took both students and saw, okay, well, in third grade, where are they? The students who had heavy reading instruction, guys, their reading comprehension was so much lower than the students in the science group. The students in the science groups they were just able to understand the words better because they had greater life experiences to draw from. Whereas the students who were being pushed more academically didn't have that well of knowledge that the other students had. So I feel like that is a really compelling case, and I'll actually leave a link to the book and some other research studies that have been done about brain development. So all that to say, we do not need to be pushing our 5-year-olds to be reading, but the caveat is if your student is interested in asking you, hey, I'm really excited about this, will you do these reading lessons with me? Then of course. So often children will just learn to read on their own without real formal instruction because it's a delight and because it's something that they're interested in doing. But I think often the reason that we want to steer away from pushing our children is that it can hurt our relationship with them because we're pushing them beyond their developmental level. And also it can be really frustrating for us. If you have ever tried to teach a child something that they're not developmentally appropriate for, it is so frustrating. When my daughter was 2.5 years old, I thought, guys, I'm going to teach her all the names of the colors. So I sat down with her and we worked on it a little bit. She did not care at all about the names of the colors, but let me tell you, she could tell me about 100 different animal names. That was something that she was really interested in at that age. So at that point, I realized how important waiting on the child's development is to both our relationship and also to their enjoyment and also receiving the information. So I just looked on several different websites to figure out what are the current requirements for a first grader entering into school after kindergarten. And it said that for writing, they should be writing a full sentence. And the brain research shows that this is actually not developmentally appropriate. For the most part, if they're writing their name, this is winning. So really we want to be focusing on first we listen, then we speak, and then we write. And when we're writing or when we're composing, we're first composing sentences orally, and then we're learning the mechanics, and then we can communicate effectively on paper. But we have to remember the stages of development and that everybody's going to hit it at a different age. You're not going to yell at your kid if they're 6 months delayed walking. No, you just wait for them to get a little bit bigger, and then they'll eventually start walking if they're a normally developing child. Okay, so what do you really need to be focusing on in kindergarten? The thing that I see brings us most joy and most delight during the kindergarten years is really just focusing on our own education. If we can spend that time just learning about different educational philosophies, figuring out what the different options are, focusing on growing our relationship with our child, then that will be time well spent. Because so frequently I hear of mamas burning out because they pushed too hard, too early with their firstborn. And then that's, we've got a long time, especially if you have a larger family, you're going to be homeschooling for quite a long time. So there's really no need to be pushing the seat and worksheet academic part of their education. We can focus on enjoying the world around us and building our relationship and helping them build relationship with other friends, other family members, and also just developing a relationship with the world around them. That to me is of greater importance, and not just to me. I mean, this is classical education at its finest. So if you want to be doing something with your child, start with family devotions. Now, you're reading aloud and maybe you're getting your kid outside, but if you really, really want to be doing something with your child and you want to be doing something academically, but you're not doing family devotions, you're not reading the Bible regularly with your child, then I would start there. A great habit would be maybe starting with the Jesus Storybook Bible or the Catherine Voss Children's Bible. These are retellings in a narrative form to just get all of us in the habit of reading the Bible regularly. And then pick a verse, a Bible verse to be memorizing. It can just be, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. You can start right there. Cindy Rollins has an amazing list of Bible verses to memorize in her Handbook to Morning Time book, and I'll leave a link in the description. Okay, so if you've done your family devotions and you still really want to get kindergarten started, but you don't have laundry systems and your food systems in order, then that is another area in your home life that you can focus on. Because if the laundry isn't getting done and if magically food is not appearing on the table, then homeschooling is going to be really, really difficult for you. So just starting on getting those habits in place and getting those systems going, I barely even think about doing the laundry anymore. And we have 6 children. So it's just habit. It's just part of the rhythm of the day. And I have different times when I start it and then turn it over and then fold it. And it just happens on a regular basis. I don't begrudge it anymore. So the last thing that you can do is to be a reader yourself. So you're reading aloud to your child, you've got your systems in place, and you're doing family devotions. And I have to say, When I first got married, I was not a reader. I'm an active person. I love to move and be outside a lot, and I really thought that reading was kind of boring. But it wasn't until I learned about myself a little bit more and that I'm actually a really active reader. So I am more of a researcher when I'm reading. I read to learn and to know. I don't just necessarily read for leisure. So once that part of who I am like opened up, I guess, it kind of blossomed, then I did become more of a reader, and I started to learn how important reading is to my work as a mother, my work as a wife, my work as a homeschool educator. And then that empowered me to have greater, like, I could learn from all of these people who have walked before me. So I'm not just starting from zero. Now I'm getting to build on a foundation that someone else has built. And that has been such a huge leg up. So in the description, I will leave a list of my very favorite books for if you're thinking about homeschooling or you're trying to homeschool your kindergartner. I've got one right here. Educating the Wholehearted Child by Clay and Sally Clarkson. I think it has a different cover now. This book is so wonderful for just learning the fundamentals of what goes into an education. It's actually where I learned about starting with discipleship first and starting with a family devotion first. So they kind of break all of that down and go through, it's just very systematic. I like systems. I like to implement them. So check that book out. And then also Sarah Mackenzie's book, Teaching from Rest. If you are feeling really anxious about getting your child started off on the right foot, Teaching from Rest, it's a homeschooler's guide to unshakable peace is the subtitle. Who doesn't want unshakable peace, right? So check out those two books, and I'll leave some more in the description as well. So that's it. I mean, if you want to homeschool kindergarten, you've got reading aloud, and you've got to get your kid outside and then go learn for yourself, mama. You got this. Thanks so much for watching. If you want more videos about nature study, homeschooling, and family life, please consider subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you next time.